The ship called *Starseeker* moved slowly through the darkness of space. Captain Dorn stood on the bridge, his 4 eyes blinking as he watched the screens. His crew of 20 worked quietly at their stations. They had visited 32 star systems in the past year. This yellow star was just one more to check. "Standard scan of the third planet," Dorn ordered. His scaly skin reflected the blue light from the control panels. Officer Mel tapped at her screen, her thin fingers moving quickly. "Scanning now, Captain." The bridge fell silent as data began flowing across their screens. Mel's eyes widened. She ran the scan again. "Captain, there must be an error in our systems," she said, her voice shaking. Dorn moved to her station. "What is it?" "This planet. It registers as Class 15. The entire bridge crew turned to look. Class 15 was the highest danger level in their classification system. No known species could survive such conditions. "Impossible," Dorn said. "Check again." Mel ran the scan a third time. "The readings are correct. Surface gravity is 9.8 times our homeworld. The atmosphere contains highly reactive oxygen. Temperature ranges from -50 to +50 degrees. There are massive storms, earthquakes, volcanic activity. The water is full of minerals that would poison most species." Science Officer Wren joined them. "No intelligent life could evolve in such conditions. It would be torn apart by the gravity alone." Just then, Communications Officer Toll raised his hand. "Captain, I'm detecting artificial signals from the planet's surface." "What kind of signals?" Dorn asked. "Radio waves, electromagnetic transmissions. They appear to be broadcasts, images and sound." Dorn's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "Show me." The main screen at the front of the bridge flickered to life. The crew watched in stunned silence as images appeared. Bipedal creatures moving around on the planet's surface. They built large structures, drove vehicles, and gathered in groups. They appeared completely untroubled by the crushing gravity and poisonous atmosphere. "This cannot be," Wren whispered. "They should be dead. The planet should kill them instantly." "Are they using protective technology?" Dorn asked. Tull shook his head. "No, Captain. From what I can see, they're exposed to the environment. They're breathing that air. They're drinking that water." The bridge erupted in conversation. No one had ever encountered a species that could survive on a Class 15 world. It defied all biological understanding. "Quiet," Dorn ordered. The crew fell silent. "Keep watching." The screen showed more images. The creatures, humans, according to their own broadcasts, were doing something even more shocking. They were swimming in oceans, climbing mountains, running long distances for pleasure. They were deliberately exposing themselves to temperature extremes and dangerous situations. "They're not just surviving," Officer Mel said in disbelief. "They evolved there. That death trap is their home." Dorn settled back in his command chair. This discovery would change everything the Galactic Union understood about life in the universe. These humans had not only survived on a Class 15 death world, they had built civilizations, created technology, and appeared to be completely unaware of how extraordinary their very existence was. "Send a message to Central Command," Dorn said quietly. "Tell them we found something impossible." As the Starseeker* continued to orbit the blue planet, the crew watched the humans with a mixture of fear and wonder. What kind of creatures could thrive in conditions that would kill any other known species? And what would happen when these Deathworlders discovered they weren't alone in the universe? 3 months had passed since the Starseeker* discovered Earth. Now, a larger ship called the Observer* hung in orbit around the blue planet. The Galactic Union had sent their best scientists to study the impossible creatures living on the Class 15 death world. Dr. Plix stood at the viewing window, watching Earth rotate below. As the chief biologist, he still couldn't believe what he was seeing. Beside him, Engineer Tark adjusted the monitoring equipment. "Are you getting good readings?" Plix asked. Tark nodded. "Perfect. Our hidden satellites are capturing everything. The humans have no idea we're studying them. The observation room was filled with screens showing different parts of Earth. Some displayed busy cities with tall buildings. Others showed humans in desert regions, frozen mountains, and dense jungles. The aliens watched in amazement as humans adapted to every deadly environment their planet offered. "Look at this," called out researcher Nima, pointing to her screen. "These humans are deliberately swimming in water that's only a few degrees above freezing." The team gathered around. The screen showed humans diving into an icy lake, then coming out laughing. "For fun," Plix said, shaking his head. "They do it for fun." "And here," Tark pointed to another screen. "These ones are climbing a mountain where the air is so thin they need to bring oxygen tanks. The temperature at that height would kill most species instantly." Commander Voss entered the observation room. Everyone straightened up. "What have you learned today?" he asked. Dr. Plix touched a screen, bringing up a chart. "We've confirmed that humans can survive radiation levels that would kill any human species. Their bodies have amazing repair systems. They eat things that would poison us," added Naima. "They put chemicals called spices on their food that are literally plant defense toxins. They drink beverages containing alcohol, a substance that damages their cells, because they enjoy the feeling." Commander Voss frowned. "Are they aware of how unusual they are?" "That's the most interesting part," said Plix. "They have no idea. They think their world is normal. They complain about the weather being too hot or too cold, when either extreme would be fatal to us even with protection suits." Tark brought up new footage. "Look at their young ones. Human children fall down, break bones, bleed, get sick, and they recover. Their bodies rebuild themselves. They actually get stronger from being damaged." The room fell silent as they watched a human child fall, cry briefly, then get up and continue playing despite a bleeding knee. "Yesterday I watched a human cut part of their hand with a metal tool," Nima said quietly. "They put a small covering on it and continued working. For us, losing any body part would be permanent." Commander Voss stared at the main screen, which showed a busy human city. "And they build these massive structures in areas with regular earthquakes." "Yes," Plix confirmed. "When disasters destroy their buildings, they simply build them again, stronger. They adapt. Always." An alarm sounded from Tark's station. He rushed over. "Commander, our sensors have detected an abnormal solar flare heading toward this system. It will hit in approximately 10 hours. "Will it affect us?" Voss asked. "Our shields will protect the ship," Tark replied. "But the radiation will reach the planet's surface." They all looked at the screen showing billions of humans going about their daily lives, unaware of the incoming solar storm. "Should we warn them?" Nima asked. Voss shook his head. "Union protocol forbids contact with pre-space travel civilizations." "But the radiation," Nima started. Plix touched her arm. "Watch and see," he said. "I believe we're about to learn something new about these Deathworlders." As the observation team returned to their stations, a strange feeling settled over them. For the first time in their mission, they weren't worried for the humans. They were curious to see how these remarkable creatures would handle yet another deadly challenge from their terrible, wonderful world. The solar flare hit Earth's atmosphere with a bright flash that lit up the night side of the planet. On the observer alarms blared as radiation levels spiked. "Shields holding at 80%, reported Tark, his fingers dancing across the control panel. Commander Voss watched the main screen. "What about the humans? Are they detecting this?" Dr. Plix nodded. "Their primitive satellites and monitoring stations are registering the event. Their news networks are reporting it as a severe solar storm, with potential for communication disruptions." "Nothing about the radiation?" asked Naima. "They mention it, but they don't seem particularly concerned," Plix replied. "Most humans are simply being advised to stay indoors." The alien crew looked at each other in disbelief. On their worlds, Such radiation levels would require special bunkers deep underground. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. Warning lights flashed red across every control panel. "Status report," shouted Voss. Tark's eyes widened as he read the data. A secondary wave just hit us, much stronger than predicted. Shield generators are overloading. Another violent shake threw several crew members to the floor. Smoke began pouring from a wall panel. "Primary shields failing," reported Tark. "Backup systems not responding. Hull integrity at risk." Voss made a quick decision. Initiate emergency protocols. Move all personnel to the central chamber. As the crew rushed to follow orders, Nema stopped at her station. "Commander, look." On one of the monitoring screens, they could see a small human spacecraft that had been in orbit. It was changing course, moving toward the observer. "They've seen us," Plix said quietly. "Impossible," replied Voss. "Our cloaking technology is linked to our shields." Tark interrupted. "When the shields failed, our cloaking disappeared." The human ship grew larger on the screen. It was primitive by Union standards, bulky, with large solar panels and crude thrusters. "They're trying to contact us," announced the communications officer. "They're broadcasting on multiple frequencies." Voss hesitated. Union law strictly prohibited contact with pre-space travel civilizations, but with their ship damaged and radiation levels rising, their options were limited. "Put it through," he ordered. A crackling voice filled the bridge. "Unknown spacecraft, this is Captain Mike from International Space Station Alpha. We detected your ship when your shields went down. Do you require assistance?" Before Voss could respond, a loud explosion rocked the ship. A support beam crashed down, trapping 3 crew members. "Life support failing," Tark reported grimly. "Radiation levels rising inside the ship. We have maybe 20 minutes before critical exposure." Voss looked at his injured crew, then at the human ship waiting outside. He made the hardest decision of his career. "Captain Mike, this is Commander Voss of the Galactic Union vessel Observer. We are experiencing catastrophic system failures and require immediate assistance." There was a brief pause before the human responded. "Understood, Commander. We're docking at your north port in 5 minutes. Prepare your injured for evacuation." The Union crew watched in tense silence as the human ship maneuvered alongside theirs. Through the viewport, they could see figures in white spacesuits preparing to enter. "Their suits won't protect them from our atmosphere," Plix warned. "Our air mixture will be toxic to them." But there was no time to warn the humans. The airlock cycled, and 4 humans entered the alien ship. What happened next astonished the Union crew. The humans moved through the ship with remarkable speed and strength, despite the higher gravity settings. They lifted fallen debris that would require mechanical assistance for Union species. They carried injured aliens twice their size with relative ease. One human, their leader, wearing a suit with Mike printed on it, approached Commander Voss. "Your ship is losing pressure and radiation levels are climbing," he said through his helmet comm. "We need to evacuate everyone now." Voss stared at the human. "You're not concerned about contact with an alien species?" The human shrugged. "We'll deal with the diplomatic stuff later. Right now, we need to get your people to safety." As the humans efficiently evacuated the Union crew to their ship, Voss realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. These Deathworlders weren't just physically resilient. They rushed toward danger to help unknown aliens without hesitation. Perhaps, Voss thought as he was led aboard the human vessel, there was more to these extraordinary creatures than their physical capabilities. Perhaps their true strength came from somewhere else entirely. 2 weeks had passed since the rescue. The Union crew now lived in a hastily built facility in a remote desert area called Nevada. High walls surrounded the compound, keeping curious humans away while world leaders decided what to do about their alien visitors. Commander Voss sat across from General Barnes, the human military leader assigned to their case. Between them lay a table with 2 different meals, one for each species. Your translator device works quite well, said General Barnes. Makes this whole first contact situation much easier. Voss nodded. It contains the languages we recorded from your broadcasts. We've been studying Earth for some time. So I've been told, Barnes replied with a slight smile. A bit rude to spy on folks before introducing yourselves. Dr. Plix, seated beside Voss, leaned forward. We have protocols about contacting species that haven't achieved deep space travel. We meant no offense. Barnes waved his hand dismissively. Just joking with you, I understand. What I don't understand is why you find us so interesting. The aliens exchanged glances. Finally, Voss spoke. General Barnes, in our classification system, Earth is designated as a Class 15 Deathworld, the highest danger level possible. Barnes took a sip of his coffee, a substance the aliens had determined was mildly toxic. That bad, huh? No intelligent species should be able to evolve on such a planet, Plix explained. The gravity alone should have prevented complex life from developing. The oxygen in your atmosphere is highly reactive and should be poisonous. Your temperature ranges are extreme. Your planet experiences regular natural disasters. Even your sun regularly bathes your world in radiation. Barnes chuckled. Sounds like home sweet home to me. At that moment, a human scientist named Dr. Anna walked in. She carried a tablet computer and seemed excited. Sorry to interrupt, but we finished comparing biological samples, she said. The results are fascinating. Dr. Plix rose to join her. The two had been working together, studying the differences between human and alien biology. What did you find? Asked General Barnes. Dr. Anna displayed her tablet. Humans have approximately 3 times the bone density of our visitors. Our muscle fiber is significantly stronger. Our skin is much thicker. We have redundant organ systems they don't possess. Our cellular repair mechanisms are vastly more efficient. Plix nodded. It confirms our theory. Humans evolved to withstand conditions that would kill most species. Your bodies are extraordinarily resilient. But we've never thought of ourselves that way, said Anna. We consider ourselves quite fragile. That's what amazes us most, replied Voss. You live on a death world without realizing it's a death world. General Barnes stood up and walked to a window overlooking the desert. So to you, we're basically superheroes. In a physical sense, yes, said Plix. But there's something else we've observed that's equally remarkable. What's that? Asked Anna. Your psychological resilience, Voss explained. When the solar flare damaged our ship, your people immediately came to help. Despite having no idea who or what we were, you risked your lives for complete strangers. Barnes turned from the window. Wouldn't your people do the same? The aliens fell silent. Most species in the Union evolved on much safer worlds. Plix finally said. Survival required cooperation within our own kind, but danger itself is something to be avoided at all costs. The concept of deliberately risking one's life for unknown beings is unusual. Your entertainment also puzzles us, added Nema, who had just entered with Tark. You create games and activities that simulate danger. You climb mountains, dive underwater, jump from high places attached to fabric sheets. Parachutes, corrected Anna with a smile. Yes, parachutes, continued Naima. You seek out the very dangers that would make other species flee. General Barnes laughed. Wait until we tell you about roller coasters and horror movies. As the conversation continued into the evening, both species began to understand each other better. The humans learned they were living on a planet considered uninhabitable by galactic standards. The aliens discovered that humans' greatest strength wasn't just their physical resilience, but their ability to face the unknown without fear. When the meeting ended, Voss returned to his quarters with a new understanding. These humans weren't just survivors of a terrible world. They had been shaped by it, strengthened by it, in ways his people could barely comprehend. News of the humans spread quickly through the Galactic Union. The massive Union Council chamber, normally quiet and orderly, now buzzed with worried conversations. Representatives from 200 species filled the circular room, their voices rising in alarm. High Chancellor Draz called for order, striking his staff against the stone floor. The chamber gradually fell silent. "We will hear the report from the First Contact Committee," announced Draz. His blue skin shimmered under the bright lights. Commander Voss stepped forward to the speaking platform. Behind him stood General Barnes and Dr. Anna, the first humans to leave Earth and visit Union space. They looked small compared to most aliens in the chamber, but they stood tall and unafraid. "Honorable representatives," began Voss, "3 months ago, our research vessel discovered intelligent life on a Class 15 Deathworld. These humans have not only survived on this planet, they have thrived." Images appeared on the large screens around the chamber. Humans climbing mountains, diving in oceans, crossing deserts, building cities in places with frequent earthquakes and storms. "As you can see," continued Voss, "humans possess physical capabilities far beyond any Union species. Their bones are nearly unbreakable. Their muscles are extraordinarily strong for their size. They can survive injuries that would kill most of us." Murmurs spread through the chamber. A tall, thin representative stood up. "What does this mean for Union security?" he asked. "Are these creatures a threat?" General Barnes stepped forward. The translator device at his neck converted his words for all to hear. "We come in peace," he said simply. "We seek friendship and knowledge, not conflict." Another representative, covered in thick fur, rose to speak. "Can we truly believe that? Their evolution on a death world must have made them aggressive. Their history must be filled with violence." Dr. Anna nodded. "You're right. Our history contains much violence. We have fought many wars among ourselves, but we have also built great works of art, music, and literature. We have cured diseases. We have learned to work together despite our differences." The chamber grew quiet as she spoke. "Yes, Earth made us strong," she continued, "but it also taught us to help each other survive. When disaster strikes, when earthquakes or floods or storms threaten us, we don't run away. We run toward the danger to save others." Several Union scientists presented more data. Humans could eat foods that would poison other species. They could adapt to extreme temperature changes in just hours. Most surprisingly, they needed less sleep than any known intelligent species, remaining alert and functional for 16 hours or more each day. Security Minister Court approached the platform next. "High Chancellor, I recommend restricting humans to their home system until we better understand them. Their physical abilities make them dangerous, even if they don't intend harm." Before Chancellor Draz could respond, alarms blared throughout the chamber. Red emergency lights flashed on every wall. Admiral Pex rushed into the room. "The Void hegemony has broken through our outer defenses," he announced. "They've launched attacks on 3 border worlds simultaneously." The chamber erupted in panic. The Void hegemony, a collective of predatory species from the galactic core, had threatened the Union for centuries. Their last war had ended 50 years ago with an uneasy peace. Chancellor Draz raised his staff for silence. "How many ships have breached our defense line?" "At least 300 warships," replied Admiral Pex. "They're using new weapons, some kind of gravity distortion technology. Our shields can't stop them." General Barnes stepped forward. "Chancellor, may I speak?" Draz nodded. "The Void hegemony hasn't met humans yet," Barnes said. "Earth is not officially part of your Union, which means we're not bound by your peace treaties." Barnes looked around at the worried alien faces. "Let us help. Earth has fought many wars. We know something about fighting against stronger enemies and winning." Chancellor Draz studied the human carefully. "You would fight for people you just met." Barnes smiled. "That's what humans do. We help when help is needed." As the council debated, emergency reports continued to arrive. The hegemony forces were advancing rapidly, destroying everything in their path. Time was running out. Finally, Chancellor Draz made his decision. "General Barnes, the Union accepts Earth's offer of assistance. No one in the chamber realized it then, but that moment would forever change the course of galactic history. The Deathworlders were going to war. The Union command ship Justice moved through space toward the battle zone. On the bridge, Admiral Pex studied the tactical displays with growing concern. The Void Hegemony forces had already destroyed 2 Union outposts and were pushing deeper into protected space. Their new weapons are devastating our fleets, Pex explained to General Barnes and the human military team. The gravity distortion tears our ships apart. Barnes nodded, studying the battle footage. Behind him stood Commander Reed and Major Davis, Earth's top military strategists. 20 other human soldiers waited in the ship's training area, preparing for combat. "Have you tried attacking from multiple vectors?" asked Reed. Admiral Pex shook his head. "Our ships are too vulnerable. We lose 3 vessels for every one of theirs we damage." Major Davis pointed to the display. "What about these smaller moons? Could we use them for cover?" "The radiation levels are too high," replied a Union officer. "No living being could survive there long enough to establish a base." The humans exchanged glances. "We could," Barnes said simply. Admiral Pex looked confused. "What do you mean?" "Humans can tolerate much higher radiation levels than your species," explained Reed. "We've worked in radiation environments before. With basic shielding and rotation schedules, we could operate from those moons." Before the Admiral could respond, alarms sounded throughout the ship. A communications officer called out, "New Hegemony fleet detected. They're heading toward the Krell system." Pex's 4 eyes widened. "Krell is a major population center. Millions will die if they reach it." Barnes studied the star chart. "How long until your reinforcements arrive?" 3 days at best," said Pex. "Krell will fall before then." Barnes turned to his team. "Looks like we're up sooner than expected." Major Davis nodded. "We're ready, sir." Admiral Pex looked doubtful. "General Barnes, while we appreciate your offer, you have only 20 soldiers and no heavy weapons. The Hegemony fleet has thousands of warriors and advanced technology." Barnes smiled. "We don't need to defeat their entire fleet. We just need to slow them down until your reinforcements arrive." "How?" asked Pex. "We'll need your fastest transport ship and access to your weapons storage," said Barnes. 2 days later, on the bridge of the Hegemony command ship Destroyer War Leader Krill received troubling news. "Our advance fleet reports strange attacks near the Krell system," said his second-in-command. "Small ships appearing from nowhere, striking quickly, then vanishing." Krell growled, his sharp teeth gleaming. "Union forces. Unknown. The tactics don't match Union military patterns, and the attacks are coming from the radiation moons, areas where no Union species could survive." Krell pounded his armored fist on the command chair. "Show me." The screen displayed footage from a damaged Hegemony ship, small fast vessels darting between larger warships, precision strikes targeting engines and weapon systems, several Hegemony ships drifting helplessly in space. "What kind of beings can fight in radiation zones?" asked the second-in-command. "It doesn't matter," Krell snarled. "Send half our fleet to crush these pests." Nothing stops our advance to Krell. Inside a makeshift base on the largest radiation moon, General Barnes received the report from his scouts. "It worked," said Commander Reed. "They've diverted half their fleet to hunt us." Barnes nodded, looking at the 20 human soldiers preparing their ships for another raid. They worked efficiently despite the harsh conditions. The Union engineers had been amazed when the humans established the base in just 8 hours, working continuously in radiation that would kill other species in minutes. "What's the status of the Krell defenses?" Barnes asked. "They've had 2 extra days to prepare," replied Reed. "Admiral Pex reports their shields are at full strength now. Union reinforcements will arrive tomorrow." Major Davis approached, her face serious. "Sir, the Hegemony search fleet is getting closer. They've started bombing the moon's surface. The radiation levels are rising beyond even our tolerance levels." Barnes considered their options. The mission had succeeded. They had delayed the hegemony advance long enough for Krell to strengthen its defenses. But now they faced a new problem. Escape. "How many ships do we have left?" he asked. 5 functioning vessels, said Davis. But the hegemony has surrounded the moon. There's no clear path out. Barnes looked at his team. These soldiers had volunteered for what might be a suicide mission. They had fought brilliantly against impossible odds. Now they were trapped. "Then we make our own path," he said firmly. "Prepare all ships. We're going to show the hegemony exactly what humans can do when they're cornered." As the soldiers moved to their positions, a Union communication officer approached Barnes with a message. "General, Admiral Pex sends word. Hold position. Help is coming." Barnes raised an eyebrow. "What kind of help?" Before the officer could answer, the moon's surface shook violently. Something massive was approaching from space, something that made even the fearless humans pause in surprise. The massive ship that appeared above the radiation moon didn't look like any Union vessel. Its hull was dark gray with the words Earth Defense Force painted in bold white letters. It was twice the size of the largest hegemony warship and bristled with weapons. "What is that?" asked Major Davis, staring at the view screen. General Barnes smiled. "That's the EDF Defender, Earth's first true battleship." Commander Reed looked shocked. "But how? We didn't have this technology 3 months ago." "Union engineers have been working with our scientists back home," Barnes explained. "Turns out human engineers can work for days without sleep when properly motivated. They built this ship in record time." The massive Earth vessel moved between the trapped humans and the hegemony fleet. Its weapons systems came online, targeting the enemy ships. "All human personnel, this is Captain Wilson of the EDF Defender," came a voice over the communications system. "We're here to bring you home. Please prepare for immediate extraction." The hegemony ships regrouped, moving to attack the new arrival. Their gravity weapons fired, creating distortion fields that had torn apart Union vessels in previous battles. But the Earth ship didn't break apart. Its hull glowed briefly as the gravity waves hit, but it continued moving forward. "How is that possible?" asked a Union officer watching from a nearby system. Admiral Pex, observing from the Justice explained. "The humans reinforced their hull with materials from their Deathworld. They designed it to withstand pressures that would crush our strongest alloys." On the bridge of the destroyer War Leader Krall watched in disbelief as the Earth ship absorbed punishment that should have destroyed it instantly. "What are these creatures?" he demanded. His second-in-command checked the scanners. "The ship is crewed by the same species that's been attacking us from the radiation moon. They call themselves humans." "Impossible. No species could survive both radiation and gravity attacks." As they watched, the Earth ship opened fire. Its weapons weren't as advanced as hegemony technology, but they were extraordinarily powerful, designed by a species used to overcoming overwhelming odds. 3 hegemony ships exploded. 4 more lost engine power and drifted away. "Launch boarding parties," Krall ordered. "We'll take that ship from the inside." Hegemony boarding craft attached to the Earth vessel's hull. Warriors in heavy armor cut their way inside, expecting easy victory against an unknown species. What happened next was recorded by the warriors' helmet cameras and later studied by military experts throughout the galaxy. The humans fought with shocking ferocity. They were smaller than the hegemony warriors but moved with incredible speed. When struck by weapons that should have killed them, they kept fighting. Their bodies continued functioning despite injuries that would have been fatal to other species. Most disturbing to the hegemony forces was the human response to seeing their comrades fall. Instead of retreating in fear, the humans became more aggressive, more determined. One recording showed a wounded human soldier continuing to fight with only one functioning arm. Another showed humans deliberately exposing themselves to danger to protect their teammates. On the Defender's bridge, Captain Wilson directed both the battle and the rescue operation. The smaller human vessels from the moon were being brought aboard while the ship continued fighting. "General Barnes and all personnel are safely aboard," reported the first officer. "Engineering reports minor damage to decks 3 through 5. Wilson nodded. "Set course for Union space. Maximum speed." The Earth ship turned, accelerating away from the battle zone. Several hegemony vessels pursued, but the Defender was surprisingly fast for its size. War Leader Krall watched them escape, his rage building. "This isn't over. We will find their homeworld and destroy it." A science officer approached cautiously. "Sir, we've analyzed data from the battle. These humans, they come from a Class 15 planet." As the soldiers moved to their positions, a Union communication officer approached Barnes with a message. "General, Admiral Pex sends word. Hold position. Help is coming." Barnes raised an eyebrow. "What kind of help?" Before the officer could answer, the moon's surface shook violently. Something massive was approaching from space, something that made even the fearless humans pause in surprise. The massive ship that appeared above the radiation moon didn't look like any Union vessel. Its hull was dark gray with the words Earth Defense Force painted in bold white letters. It was twice the size of the largest hegemony warship and bristled with weapons. "What is that?" asked Major Davis, staring at the view screen. General Barnes smiled. "That's the EDF Defender, Earth's first true battleship." Commander Reed looked shocked. "But how? We didn't have this technology 3 months ago." "Union engineers have been working with our scientists back home," Barnes explained. "Turns out human engineers can work for days without sleep when properly motivated. They built this ship in record time." The massive Earth vessel moved between the trapped humans and the hegemony fleet. Its weapons systems came online, targeting the enemy ships. "All human personnel, this is Captain Wilson of the EDF Defender," came a voice over the communication system. "We're here to bring you home. Please prepare for immediate extraction." The hegemony ships regrouped, moving to attack the new arrival. Their gravity weapons fired, creating distortion fields that had torn apart Union vessels in previous battles. But the Earth ship didn't break apart. Its hull glowed briefly as the gravity waves hit, but it continued moving forward. "How is that possible?" asked a Union officer watching from a nearby system. Admiral Pex, observing from the Justice explained. "The humans reinforced their hull with materials from their Deathworld. They designed it to withstand pressures that would crush our strongest alloys." On the bridge of the destroyer War Leader Krall watched in disbelief as the Earth ship absorbed punishment that should have destroyed it instantly. "What are these creatures?" he demanded. His second-in-command checked the scanners. "The ship is crewed by the same species that's been attacking us from the radiation moon. They call themselves humans." "Impossible. No species could survive both radiation and gravity attacks." As they watched, the Earth ship opened fire. Its weapons weren't as advanced as hegemony technology, but they were extraordinarily powerful, designed by a species used to overcoming overwhelming odds. 3 hegemony ships exploded. 4 more lost engine power and drifted away. "Launch boarding parties," Krall ordered. "We'll take that ship from the inside." Hegemony boarding craft attached to the Earth vessel's hull. Warriors in heavy armor cut their way inside, expecting easy victory against an unknown species. What happened next was recorded by the warriors' helmet cameras and later studied by military experts throughout the galaxy. The humans fought with shocking ferocity. They were smaller than the hegemony warriors, but moved with incredible speed. When struck by weapons that should have killed them, they kept fighting. Their bodies continued functioning despite injuries that would have been fatal to other species. Most disturbing to the hegemony forces was the human response to seeing their comrades fall. Instead of retreating in fear, the humans became more aggressive, more determined. One recording showed a wounded human soldier continuing to fight with only one functioning arm. Another showed humans deliberately exposing themselves to danger to protect their teammates. On the Defender's bridge, Captain Wilson directed both the battle and the rescue operation. The smaller human vessels from the moon were being brought aboard while the ship continued fighting. General Barnes and all personnel are safely aboard, reported the first officer. Engineering reports minor damage to decks 3 through 5. Wilson nodded. Set course for Union space. Maximum speed. The Earth ship turned, accelerating away from the battle zone. Several hegemony vessels pursued, but the Defender was surprisingly fast for its size. War Leader Krall watched them escape, his rage building. This isn't over. We will find their homeworld and destroy it. A science officer approached cautiously. Sir, we've analyzed data from the battle. These humans, they come from a Class 15 planet.